Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So within today's video, we are going to be talking about the central defensive midfield position because yet again, Xavi Hernandez has said that Barcelona should be looking for a central defensive midfielder. They need a pivot. This is not the first time Xavi Hernandez said this to the media. He continues to say Barcelona need to sign a specific player, which is a central defensive midfielder, and it needs to be a big time player. I think that Xavi Hernandez really wants to send a message and add pressure towards Joan Laporta, Mateo Laman, Rafa Yuste, and all of these people within the sporting department, and he wants to say, hey look, we're gonna lose Sergio Busquets. Sergio Busquets was fundamental towards my system, and now I'm gonna need a real big time player. So it's a huge deal. And the reason again why I'm talking about this yet again on this YouTube channel is because Xavi continues to talk about this over and over again, and for a very good reason. And I think that this is the priority. Like, yes, Barcelona do need a right back. They probably do need another striker, maybe like another left winger, but the priority is the central defensive midfield position. There is only Frankie, and Frankie de Jong is not even a real pivot. Frankie works best when he is playing with another player besides him and form the double pivot. We need another player because we have no other one. It doesn't seem like Nico Gonzalez is going to be coming back, and if he does, he's probably not going to be so betted on like if he was Frankie de Jong. So it says here, according to Javi Miguel, that Xavi is considering 4 different midfielders as options, and that's going to be Rodri, Verratti, Kimmich, and Zubimendi, but with Zubimendi being a real option, mainly because I just think that he's Spaniard and because he knows a lot of these players in Barcelona. Like, if Zubimendi were to come in, he'll know Ansu Fati, he'll know Eric Garcia, he'll know Alejandro Balde, and he'll know Xavi, and he'll know Pedri. And so of course there is some sort of favoritism coming from Xavi Hernandez, but I think that if we just talk about each of these players individually and then just ask who is the best player, it is Kimmich, and right below Kimmich it would be Rodri, third would be Zubimendi, and fourth would be Verratti. But because Zubimendi knows a lot of these players, because he is probably one of the cheapest options, like if you were to compare him to the other players on this list, that is the reason why Xavi Hernandez is so keen on Zubimendi. And let me tell you guys another thing. I feel like if Joan Laporta and Mateo Laman told Xavi that Barcelona can afford all of these players, like they can bring in either Rodri or Verratti or Kimmich or Zubimendi, the agenda will change so quick. I think that Xavi will say, oh okay, if we can afford all of these players, then bring me Kimmich, and if not, bring me Rodri, and then if we can't bring those 2 players for whatever reason, then bring me Zubimendi. I feel like those will be the conversations, but that is simply not the reality right now, because I just feel like Barcelona is being held back because of the regulations, right? These rules that Javier Tebas wants to bring in. Let me tell you guys one thing. I know that I'm kind of getting off topic here, but the fact that Barcelona is in a way struggling to sign some of these players like Rodri or Verratti or Kimmich or Zubimendi is not because Barcelona is broke. Like I get it, right? You find it so funny that Barcelona cannot afford a certain player, but you also have to understand that the reason why Barcelona cannot sign whoever they want to sign, it is because of Javier Tebas, who is the main guy of La Liga, saying that Barcelona can only like bring in these amount of players and for this specific amount. They have this thing called the wage bill and how there is a certain threshold. And let me tell you guys another thing. I just find it so hard to understand, right? Like, why till today, 3 years after the pandemic, Barcelona is still struggling to sign certain players. I don't understand that. Barcelona let go of Messi. They let go of Griezmann. They have finally let go of Gerard Piqué, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba. They have reduced the wages of Dembélé and many of these other players in Barcelona. What more does Barcelona need to do? Do you guys not find this a little weird with the fact that Barcelona have done already so many movements, but yet we're still almost in the exact same position as if this was Barcelona of 2020? Like, there was literally a report that did surface about 24 hours ago, and it said that Barcelona will be saving a lot of money with the excess of Busquets, Piqué, and Alba alone, which is going to be a total of 120 million euros in wages. Isn't that crazy? And don't you find that weird to know that even until today, even with those players leaving and with Messi leaving, which, you know, he was earning like 50 million euros a year, or like with Griezmann earning 25-30 million euros a year, don't you find it weird that Javier Tebas continues to say, no, Barcelona's not ready, no, you can't sign these players, you don't look financially stable? Barcelona even sold like half of their assets. What else does Barcelona need to do? And so I just feel like if Javier Tebas was reasonable and he did not have an agenda against Barcelona, because it really does seem like it, then I felt like Barcelona could have had a much more easy time signing any of these 4 options, which is Rodri, Verratti, Kimmich, or Zubimendi, because we need these players. And I don't want to see throughout this summer that Barcelona is struggling, because I know that deep down, and I know that in their bank accounts, they can pull the trigger easily and afford these players and pay them very well. It's just that Javier Tebas wants to make and put down Barcelona in a very bad way. I don't hear any of these type of struggles going on in Manchester City. I don't see no struggles going on at Chelsea. I don't see no struggles going on at Liverpool. I don't see any other struggles going at Arsenal or Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid. I don't hear none of these type of stories, but only in Barcelona. And so if Xavi Xavi Hernandez is truly naming these 4 players as the only options to replace Sergio Busquets, the one player that I would go for will be Kimmich, because Kimmich is a monster. If we look at these videos that I'm showing you guys here, this is his specialty. The fact that he can find these type of spaces in very compact areas, this is exactly what we need from our central defensive midfielder. Sergio Busquets was a master at this for the past 10 years. Kimmich can bring the exact same thing. Like, look at these passes. Like, can you imagine like players like Dembele, Rafinha picking on with these passes and these long passes on the sidelines? It would be crazy. Now, am I saying that players like Rodri, Zubimendi, Verratti cannot do this? Of course they can, but Kimmich does it much more consistently. If we look at the stats here, we can see that the amount of smart passes that he does per 90, it's more than Verratti, it's more than Zubimendi, it's more than Rodri. If you look at the amount of key passes per 90, it's more than Zubimendi, Verratti, and Rodri. Kimmich also continues to beat Rodri, Zubimendi, and Verratti on passes to the final third per 90. He continues to beat Rodri, Zubimendi, Verratti on passes to penalty areas per 90, and by a lot. We look at through passes per 90. Kimmich continues to beat Rodri, Zubimendi, and Verratti. Like, what more do you want for me? Like, what more do you want me to tell you guys, for you guys to understand that Kimmich is just much more superior? And the fact that Zubimendi is not even in the conversation, or not even greenlit. Like, if you guys look at these images here, like if you compare him to like Kimmich, Rodri, and Verratti, Zubimendi is not even close to any of these players. And so I know that deep down Xavi Hernandez would really want either Rodri or Kimmich, but he knows that Barcelona do have a threshold, and that is why he's saying Zubimendi is the priority. And if Zubimendi is not at the level of Kimmich or Rodri, I can build him here. I can build him into a monster in about 2 years and eventually become hopefully at the level of Kimmich and Rodri. But if Barcelona want a immediate impact, it would be to sign Kimmich now, today, like yesterday. Sign him within these next 12 hours. He is the player that will give you immediate impact. If we look at who is the better attacker out of Rodri, Kimmich, Zubimendi, Verratti, right? So these are going to be the attacking stats. Kimmich, again, just surpasses everybody, scoring 7 goals. He scored 7 goals this season in the Bundesliga. He took more shots than any of these players. He has a better shot ratio per 90. And lastly, he has 11 assists, more than Verratti, more than Zubimendi, and more than Rodri. Kimmich has almost double the assist of what Rodri had this season with Manchester City. And you know what's even crazy is that Bayern Munich did not even have a definitive real number 9, and Kimmich still came out with 11 assists. Rodri did. Rodri had Erling Haaland. Rodri had Julian Alvarez. And so give me the duo between Kimmich and Lewandowski at Barcelona, please. I beg for Barcelona to make this a priority. Sign Kimmich before you sign Messi. It would ultimately complete the squad, and that is what we want to see as Barcelona fans. And so stepping away from this conversation, I also just want to quickly and lastly talk about Xavi Hernandez also explaining that Barcelona will not be signing a left back this summer, mainly because he feels very comfortable with having Marcos Alonso and Alejandro Balde, which I understand. I think that this comes with no surprise, especially with Alejandro Balde in his first season as a first team player for Barcelona. He scored 1 goal, provided 7 assists, and he's 19 years old, by the way. He won a La Liga, he won a Super Cup, right? He's a Super Cup champion. He was included in La Liga team of the season. He was called up for the Spanish national team back in the World Cup of 2022. And so this is our golden boy. This is like the next Pedri. This is the next Ansu Fati. Barcelona should not even think about signing a left back that's like 28, 27 years old and he's like at the prime of his career. I think that Alejandro Balde, whoever, like if you compare any player, the best left back in the world to Alejandro Balde would beat that player because he has a higher ceiling. And I just feel like next season, if we build this team correctly, Alejandro Balde can see much more assists than what we saw in this season, maybe providing 12 to 13 assists next season and maybe scoring about 3 to 4 goals. And that would be amazing. It would truly make him the best left back in the world. So I'm happy to see that Xavi Hernandez is showing to the world and to the media, and especially to the players, that he counts on these 2 players, and we'll just see how Marcos Alonso performs next season. I have no problem with him continuing. So that is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.